right, welcome everyone, and thank you for attending today's webinar. It's going to be a tech talk on the correct setup of PartQuest. Okay, so hopefully we will cover today and you will learn how to set up PartQuest to work within your current mentor environment. Okay, so PartQuest, if you're unfamiliar, is a free service that allows customers to download symbol, cell, part information, as well as all parametric information necessary for those parts directly from PartQuest.com paired with DigiKey and bring them directly into our library. Okay, so it does take some initial setup, and hopefully I'll be able to cover that enough today so everyone's comfortable with that process. Then we'll go into how to actually utilize PartQuest once it's been set up correctly, so we can easily download parts and bring them into our library. Okay. And then the last thing that we'll be talking about today is if your part on PartQuest.com does not have symbol or footprint data automatically available for us, there's a couple of different things that we can do here. We can either request these to be made, and that's a very simple and quick process, or we can use some online wizards to go ahead and create either those symbols or missing cells or footprints for us on PartQuest.com. All right, so my name is Kyle Lake. I work with Oasis Sales. I'm an application engineer with Oasis Sales. And if you're unfamiliar with Oasis Sales, we are a premier EDA partner or reseller with Mentor Graphics and have been for over 18 years. Okay, so we have a wide variety of expertise from electrical design that we'll be talking about today in the PCB space to simulation for printed circuit boards, all the way to FPGA synthesis tools, as well as mechanical analysis tools for heating, cooling, those types of applications as well. So if you live in those states below that we service and you would like to have any more information on any of the tools we cover, please reach out to me and I'm able to get you in the correct contact of your account manager or into the correct contact with the person that will be able to answer your questions. Okay. So likewise, our counterpart with Oasis Sales is TriLogic, and we are paired with TriLogic for this webinar series that we host webinar once a week on average. Okay, so TriLogic, just like Oasis Sales, has been a premier design partner with Mentor Graphics and has been around for over 30 years now. So they are based in Andover, Massachusetts. They're happy to support all Mentor Graphics tools, just like Oasis Sales, as well as some data management applications such as Omnify. Okay, so again, down at the bottom there, you can see the states that TriLogic is servicing. So kind of on the East Seaboard and Southeast regions of the United States. And if you don't know who to contact within TriLogic, please feel free to reach out directly to me, and I'm more than happy to get you the correct contact information for the folks over at TriLogic that would be responsible for your area. Okay, it's just a visual representation of our respective territories. Again, Oasis Sales kind of covers the Midwest and Northwest of the United States, and TriLogic is kind of the East Coast, Southeast, and the New England area as well. All right, so like I said, we do host webinars fairly frequently. If you like what you see today, please feel free to go to our respective YouTube channels by searching for Oasis Sales or TriLogic at YouTube, and you should be able to find all of our past recorded webinars on there. Or simply, you can just go to oasissales.com or trilogic.com, and you can easily find all the content we have there as well. Okay, here's my contact information. Like I said, if you would like any more information on what we cover today or any other Mentor tools, or just confused who to contact within Oasis or TriLogic, please feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email. You can take a screenshot of that or write that down, and I will show my contact information at the end of today's webinar as well. Okay, if you're unfamiliar with GoToMeeting, which we're hosting the webinar with today, you should see a chat box in your GoToMeeting client. If you have any questions or issues throughout the webinar today, please feel free to put those in the chat box. If it's a relevant question, I'll get to it as time fits, or I will follow up with you as soon as possible after the webinar today. Okay, so without further ado, let's hop into today's webinar about how to set up PartQuest and to utilize it correctly in your design flow. Okay. So if you're unfamiliar with Oasis Sales, TriLogic, or Mentor Graphics in general, I'd just like to give a brief overview of the different types of software that Mentor offers in the electronics design space. Okay, so what we're talking about today is, again, that PartQuest for rapid library development. And PartQuest can support all flows of Mentor printed circuit board design tools. Okay, so that includes Expedition on the left-hand side there, which is an enterprise level tool that allows us to have very high-end design capabilities, as well as data management and concurrent design capabilities within both the schematic as well as the printed circuit board design space. Okay. PADS, on the other hand, is still a very capable printed circuit board design tool, but it is more of a desktop or single user type application or smaller teams. Okay, so it doesn't have the data management or concurrency wrapper that Expedition offers, but it still offers a nice design environment that you can really complete some high technology designs within. Okay, so again, PartQuest is applicable to any Mentor Graphics PCB design tool flow. That includes PADS, Standard, Standard Plus, PADS Professional, as well as all the way up to Expedition. Okay. So kind of on the other side of the printed circuit board design realm is our Hyperlinks family of tools, and we run a lot of webinars on Hyperlinks if you're interested in learning more about that. But Hyperlinks is a family of tools that allows us to do simulation and verification of our printed circuit board design in the realms of signal integrity, SI, power integrity, PI, DRC, or kind of an electrical rule checker for EMI type issues. And then also there is a Hyperlinks thermal for board level thermal simulation as well. Okay. And then kind of on the back end of the printed circuit board design realm is the Valor family of tools. And what Valor allows us to do is do assembly level checks as well as manufacturing type checks to catch those types of issues early in the design cycle and to hopefully increase our yield and maximize that yield of our printed circuit board design and manufacturing process. Okay, so if you have any questions on any of those tools or what Mentor Graphics has to offer, please reach out to me. Okay. All right, so let's hop into what is PartQuest. Okay, so if you're unfamiliar with PartQuest, I know I've worked with a lot of customers. I see a few familiar names on the GoToMeeting today that have tried to utilize PartQuest, and there may be some folks that just aren't familiar with what it is. And what PartQuest is, it's a web-based component research tool that is enhanced with PCB design data that might be necessary in your schematic. Okay, so it's paired with DigiKey currently, and DigiKey, I know a lot of customers utilize DigiKey to do ordering and procurement of their components, so it pairs nicely with your supplier. Okay, so currently there's over 700,000 symbols and footprints in Mentor Graphics format, and again, that should be from PADS to PADS Professional as well as Expedition. Okay, so within the search window, we are just able to do parametric keyword searching. You can search for a manufacturer, you can search for package type, part numbers, or values of your discrete components, and you should be able to find what you're looking for. Okay, so we have symbols and footprints, and even some components these days are having 3D models that are available for download into your Mentor flow. Okay, so again, you can see down there at the bottom that we support all different types of PADS projects, including netlist and integrated, as well as professional, PADS Professional, and then all the way moving to Expedition. And if you're utilizing EDM or XDM, it does have the capability to interface with both of those data management suites. Okay, so these next few slides just have some screenshots on kind of how to utilize the search capabilities within PartQuest. Okay, so I will preface this by saying you do need to create an account on PartQuest. And basically all that is going to be signing in with your Mentor support account as well as your DigiKey account, and just allowing those two to work together. Okay, so this is a free service for all Mentor customers with a valid support center login. Okay, so there's really nothing else you have to do other than have a Mentor support login as well as a DigiKey login, and allow those two to work together. Okay, so once you're logged in, all you have to do here is just start searching for components. So right now I'm searching for a 10 microfarad, 10 volt, 1206 type package of a capacitor. Okay. For all of your searches, you'll see all of the parametric information. So if I click on that right arrow that shows more, it will show me all of the parametric information that is going to be downloaded when I download this part information into my library. Okay, so this will all be utilized within the Databook tool in DX Designer for parametric searching and placement of our components. Okay, so if you're unfamiliar with Databook, I'll go into it very briefly after we download a few parts and show how that works. But again, all these properties will be visible in our Databook tool. Okay, so it includes manufacturer, manufacturer part number, and description. So it's really easy to find the exact components that you're searching for. All right, so it's got pricing information as well as quantity on hand, and this is all sourced through the DigiKey database. Okay, so if I clicked on this link right here, that would take me directly to the DigiKey website and have all of that costing and quantity on hand information available for us. Okay, I'm just going to scroll through here. What we can also do is I can filter for certain manufacturers, package type, tolerance, and operating temperature. All of these different types of filters on those properties I'm able to utilize after I've done my initial search. Okay, so if I search for this 10 microfarad capacitor up top, I'm able to go ahead and start filtering more to find exactly which manufacturer I'd like, or a certain tolerance. Since I didn't specify that in that search window, we should be able to specify those in the filters tab down below. Okay, so a couple of things that I want to point out within this particular screen is you'll see once I click on this more arrow on the right hand side, I'm able to see this AD symbol next to choose symbol and choose footprint. Okay, what that AD signifies is that there is actually a symbol or footprint available for download. And the AD just specifies Accelerated Designs is the company that has been creating all of the symbols and footprints for PartQuest. Okay, so I can also tell right next to this picture of the capacitor here that there's a small resistor symbol as well as some sort of footprint signified there, and that just allows us to know that there is a symbol and footprint available for download right away on that component. Okay, so here's some of the standard schematic symbols that we are available to download on discrete components. Okay, so if you want to choose something just generic, I'm able to click on the choose symbol box that you see right here. I can click on choose symbol, and that will allow me to specify a standard discrete type or active transistor schematic symbol. Okay. So what if my part doesn't have a symbol and footprint available to download? There is a couple of different things that I can do. Okay, so you'll see down below in this screenshot, this component does not have a footprint available for download or a symbol available for download currently. So the way I can tell that is there's no AD symbols down here, and then there is no symbol and footprint little preview right in there as well. Okay. So what I can do now is all I can do is click on the request symbol or footprint. And this is a really easy way to just request this to be made. And I've done this quite a few times, and they guarantee it to be created in less than 24 hours. In my experience, all of them have been created in about 12 hours. So if you're going through one of your projects, looking at all the data sheets, you can quickly go through PartQuest, request all of those parts to be made, and you'll get an email as soon as all of your parts have been created and are available for download on PartQuest. Okay, so if you don't want to request a part, there is a built-in symbol generator directly into PartQuest.com. Okay, so I can do a manual entry of all of my pin lists, as you can see on the left-hand side or on the right-hand side here. Also, I could import a CSV pin list, and this would automatically generate a symbol for me. And you can kind of see that pin or the symbol preview on the right-hand side over there. So this is very similar to the symbol wizard within the library manager tool. If you're familiar with quickly creating fractured symbols, the symbol wizard within PADS or Expedition Central Library Manager will allow us to do this type of functionality. Okay, but this is built into PartQuest as well. All right, so this is the symbol creation, and as you can see, I can bring it into DX Designer in the symbol editor as well once I download this package. Okay. Likewise, there is a footprint wizard that allows us to utilize an IPC 7351 compliant engine that allows us to automatically create those footprints. So again, if I don't want to go through the request process of having the footprints created, I can utilize a wizard in that process as well. Okay. And this is what everything is going to look like when I have downloaded it into my DX Designer environment. Okay, so as you can see, it's got all of that parametric information directly from the PartQuest search window. Okay, so I have part number, I have supplier, manufacturer part number, and even datasheet links. Okay, so this is a really easy way to just get all of the necessary information directly into my schematic. Okay, so here, this is a really good slide on just kind of my tips and best practices for how to set up PartQuest correctly. Okay, and I'm going to go through this entire process. And again, this is a recorded session and it'll be up on YouTube. So if you need help, you can either reach out to me for help, or you can hopefully utilize this recorded session to set up PartQuest on your own environment. Okay, so there's just a few simple steps. And the first one is going to be to go to partquest.com to log in or sign up for an account and pair that with your DigiKey account. That should be fairly straightforward. So the next step, all we have to do is go to your profile location and enable which flow you are currently working with. And when I refer to flow, I'm talking either PADS Professional or Expedition or even PADS. So you can see on the right-hand side here, I have all of my flows that are available with PartQuest. So in this screenshot, I was utilizing PADS Professional, and all you have to do to change it to Expedition, for example, is click on the Use as Default button, and that will automatically download those parts in the correct format for you. Okay, so all these buttons are doing is changing which format your parts are going to be downloaded in. Okay. So once you have done that, we are going to next download the PartQuest integration utilities. Okay, so I will show where to download this, and I always recommend to download it to this location. Okay, so there's a couple different locations that we do have to be worried about or cognizant of in our PartQuest setup, and this is one of them. Okay, so if we just install it to see Mentor Graphics PartQuest tools, we will always know where we have to place our downloaded PartQuest components. Okay. All right, so after you've gone ahead and downloaded and installed the PartQuest integration utilities, the next thing is we just are going to start searching for parts. Okay, so we'll go through some part searching today, and there's a couple of things I can do after I've found the parts that I'd like to work with. Okay, I can either directly download them one at a time, which can work. Then I could save them to favorites or a project type folder where I'm able to download every single component in a project folder at once. Okay, so this can be good for planning your next project. If you know you're going to be utilizing some new components from your library, I can go on PartQuest, look at all my different components that I'm planning on using and place them into a project and see what I'm missing or see what I need to request to be made, for example. Okay, so once I download those, what it will download is going to be a .pqz file, and this is another area that confuses a lot of customers, okay, because they don't know exactly what to do to this file. Okay, so first we're going to place that PQZ file in PartQuest Tools, that location where I installed the integration utilities. Next, I'm going to just simply double-click that .pqz file. Okay, so that's all you have to do to extract that information is to double-click a .pqz file, and it will extract all the necessary data. Okay, and then in DX Designer, you're going to have to just go Tools, Import PartQuest Parts. Okay, so if this is your first time utilizing that Import PartQuest part, it's going to ask you for a download location, and that's where we point to this PartQuest Tools Downloads folder. Okay, and if all goes according to plan, a .dbc and MDB file will be created in our working directory, or WDIR. Okay, so what that allows us to do, DBC and MDB files allow us to utilize Databook for parametric searching and placement of components. Okay, so I know I was talking a lot on this slide, but we'll go through each step individually. And I see a few questions on whether I can provide all of these instructions in written form. I'll create a PDF with some screenshots and all what I think are the best places to set these up. Okay, and I'll provide all of that when we send out the necessary information and the recording of this webinar. Okay, and then finally, just some benefits on why we would like to utilize PartQuest. Okay, so we're just going to eliminate the component adoption barriers. Okay, so I know a lot of companies that I work with, the bottleneck, or there's a large bottleneck in the library development process, and that may be due to 1 or 2 librarians being constantly requested with new components with a backlog of a few hundred types of parts into their library. So hopefully PartQuest can quickly eliminate that. Okay, so we can connect directly with those design engineers. They can request these parts or maybe place them in a folder on partquest.com, and then the librarian can go ahead and download all of that. A huge benefit here is that we have all of that embedded manufacturer and distributor data that we can actually have on the schematic through the use of DX Databook. Okay, hopefully it's going to help reduce your design cycle time, instant access to those components and footprints, and then we will hopefully eliminate any types of respins and ensure first pass design success by eliminating BOM component part number errors. Okay, so really, hopefully this will just allow us to speed up our library development process and allow for less errors on the BOM or manufacturing outputs, because all of that data is coming directly from the distributor. All right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and hop into a demo. All right, so currently I really have nothing in my PartQuest setup. So I'm just going to go through the entire setup here, and this is going to be starting from a scratch with no PartQuest installed on my machine right now. Okay, so this is partquest.com, and you'll see that I have my name up at the top right corner. That's just because I'm signed in. If you don't have a login, you should just use this to sign up or sign in to your particular account. Okay, so I'm going to be referencing the steps that we have here as well, just to show that these are really all the necessary steps that we need to set up PartQuest correctly. So log in or sign up, I've already done that. Next, I'm going to go to my profile and enable my default flow. Okay, so I'm going to go again to the top right to my name. I'll hit my profile. And there's a couple of things within here I'll just briefly touch upon. The type of download that I want to use. Okay, so some customers don't want to have a direct download to their machine, and they need to interface through Dropbox. If you have corporate standards similar to that, you can have your components downloaded to Dropbox before bringing them onto your machine. I currently have a direct downloaded flow. Okay. I can edit different properties. If I want to name properties different things, I can use the property mapping. If I want to edit the partitions that this is going to be downloaded in, so these are all my current partitions that I can choose what the parts are going to be downloaded into. I can make this look exactly like my partitions of my central library, for example, here. Okay. All right, so down below are my default flows. And just for the example today, I'm going to be utilizing Expedition. Okay. The setup, the download, everything should be the exact same regardless of which flow you're using. Okay, so if you have any issues with that, just let me know. All right, so that's all I have to do on that. I've set my current flow. All right, referencing our steps again, I'm going to download the PartQuest integration utilities from PartQuest. Okay, so to find that, I'm just going to go back to the partquest.com. And to find those PartQuest integration utilities, in the bottom left-hand side, I see the downloads section. If I click on downloads, you'll see we have a couple of different options in the PartQuest or tool integration downloads here. Okay, so if I'm going to download the Expedition integration utilities, all I have to do is click download, and that's going to start downloading it for me. Okay, so it's a couple hundred megabytes. I'm going to cancel that because I just downloaded it right before we started. And go into my download section. Okay, referencing that next step is I'm going to install it. Install to see Mentor Graphics PartQuest tools. I recommend this. That way you'll just know where it is. This can be a huge issue with people adopting PartQuest. They just don't know where they installed it correctly or where they've downloaded their parts. Okay. So I've got that download, and actually it's downloading right now, almost done. And this will just be a download for us that I can install those PartQuest integration utilities. So it's just going to be partquest.exe. This doesn't matter where I run it from. I'm just going to double click it and start the PartQuest integration utilities installation process. Okay. All right, so this is going to open up the Mentor install. I'm just going to quickly go through this. It's going to be a quick install, but you'll see, again, this is the location that I recommend installing the PartQuest integration utilities to. Okay, so that's all I have to specify. I'm going to hit install, and this should just take a few seconds before finishing. Okay, so installation is complete. Please close and reopen your browser and layout or schematic tools. Okay, so it does ask you to do that once it's done installing. So I am going to, in fact, close Expedition Designer here. All right, so we've gone ahead and downloaded and installed the PartQuest tools. Okay, so next step, all I'm going to do is search for parts on partquest.com. Okay. So to search, again, very, very simple. If you're familiar with Google or anything else, it should be pretty easy. And I'm just going to search for an Atmega part here. Okay, so an Atmega type microprocessor, and hit search. Okay, so you'll see I do have RoHS compliant, lead free, or in stock type categories within here. Or if I do the search locations, I can actually go ahead and do a search only in these type of DigiKey search locations. Okay, so these are all coming directly from DigiKey. If you're familiar with the type of DigiKey search partitions, it can be a little bit overwhelming in some cases. Okay, so this is that search partition or the search results here, and you can see I can click on this more on the bottom right, or on the bottom right side of the screen there. Those little down arrows will show, again, all of the parametric information that I have for this particular part. Okay. So you can see I have a symbol, I have a footprint, and if I hover over there, it will show you exactly what's available for download for this part. Okay, so this says footprint, symbol, and 3D data available. Okay, so very easy to do that. Tells you exactly what I want to do. So let's just go ahead and download this part right here, Atmega 328, fairly popular microprocessor. You'll see it automatically thinks that this belongs in Expedition/IC. That's the partition it's going to be put in, and I'm going to hit download. Okay, so you can see in the bottom left-hand side, I'm using Google Chrome right now. This just shows me where my downloads are, and that gives me that PQZ file. Okay, just some Windows shortcuts here. I'm going to right-click on there, hit Show in Folder. That's going to show me exactly where the download has been placed. Okay, so that's that .pqz file. I'm going to do a cut, right-click cut, and I'm going to navigate to my C drive, Mentor Graphics, and then PartQuest tools. Okay, so I do recommend within here to create a downloads folder. So create a downloads folder in our PartQuest tools. So I always put my downloaded parts directly within here. All right, so I'm going to go into my downloads folder. I'm going to do a paste, and there is my PartQuest zip file. Okay, so again, referencing the PowerPoint, place it in PartQuest tools, downloads folder, and then just double click that PQZ file to extract the data. So just double click on this PQZ file, and it will go ahead and ask me the first time, you must choose the destination folder for PartQuest parts. Okay, so I'm just going to utilize this exact location that I'm in currently. So again, that's C, Mentor Graphics, PartQuest Tools, Downloads. Okay, very simple. And that's going to go ahead and basically extract this PartQuest zip file. Okay, so you'll see it creates Expedition for us. You can utilize this if I was in a mixed flow where I'm using pads and Expedition, it would create a pads folder if I switch that default flow at partquest.com. Okay, so if I double click in here, it's giving me a couple of different things. Okay, so as you can see, I have an EDX file, which if you're unfamiliar with an EDX file, that's basically going to contain the symbol, cell, or footprint, as well as all the part information. Okay, so EDX files are an easy way to exchange library data from central library to central library. Okay, a step file, that's going to be a step file for use in 3D. And then it also gives us a CSV file of all of the parametric information. Okay, so these are all encrypted right now with that .x, and when I import them using tools, import PartQuest parts, that will uncrypt those or decrypt those components. Okay, so next step is in DX Designer, go tools, import PartQuest parts. Okay, so I'm going to start up DX Designer in the Expedition flow and see if we are able to import this PartQuest part. All right, not seeing too many questions in that chat box, but that's all right. If you guys do have any questions, you can always email me after the show today or after the webinar. All right, so once this is open, I'm going to go ahead and actually create a brand new project. So to create a new project in Expedition, I'm hoping everyone's somewhat familiar with creating a new project in DX Designer. And that will just allow me to go to Expedition here. Okay, so I'm going to choose location in my just PartQuest demo file. I have a blank central library that I went ahead and created this morning, and I will navigate to that right now. Okay, so this again is just an empty blank central library, and I'm going to call this PartQuest Setup. Okay, so once my project has been created, just to show that this library is empty, you'll see in my CL View tab within Databook, I have no symbols except local symbol or borders and built-in symbols and global symbols, but no parts or no other real symbols here. Okay, so this is a totally blank central library. what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and go to Tools, Import PartQuest Parts. Okay, so the first time I do this, I'm going to click on that, and it's going to ask, where are your downloaded PartQuest parts? Okay, if you set it up in this location specifically, because those PartQuest integrations are here, it should find them for us. Okay, so that's why I like installing it and putting those downloads in this location, is because the tool is intelligent enough to know where they are. Okay, so if you for your company standards want to change that download folder location, you'll just have to browse to it at this particular chat box. Okay, so yes, that's the exact location I want to import them from. I'm going to hit yes. The next chat box, or dialog box, is going to ask if I want to import the data into the project library, or the library that I'm working with this project. Usually I would say yes here, and I'm going to, but in the few instances that you don't want to bring in that library data for us, you can always go ahead and manually import those CAD packages in the library manager tool. I'm going to choose yes, and what this is going to do is again bring the symbol and footprint data into the library for us. Okay, and then this last thing is talking about PartQuest parts will be written to a new databook configuration. All right, so this allows us to automatically have a databook configuration and Microsoft Access database created in this process. Okay, and I will show that as well. If you want to change the import process here, there is an INI file that we can edit to map or write into a different MDB file or Microsoft Access database file. Okay. All right, so that is going to import everything for us, and that really should be it once it's done. Okay, I always recommend after any type of library update is happening, in DX Designer, the first thing I want to do is go to Tools, Update Libraries. Okay, so what this does is it forces the tool to reread the libraries and bring any new library content down and make it visible for us. Okay, so you'll see in the CL View tab now, I do have a part in the part view. Okay, so that's the symbol that we just downloaded. And that's a good way to use this. But as you'll see, if I just use the CL View tab, a major limitation of this is we're not going to have all of that parametric information. Okay, so this is reading the symbol data directly from the central library. The reason why Databook is powerful and important is we're able to read all of that parametric information right out of the Microsoft Access database. And PartQuest kind of automatically sets this up for us. So you'll see right here where my cursor is, no configuration right now, no Databook configuration file or DBC file we're pointing to. So if I go right click in here and configure open, I can point to the DBC file that is automatically created when I import PartQuest parts. And you'll see by default, if you remember, it showed where it was created. It's going to be in my WDIR, which is Expedition 2.5, and then you'll see a PartQuest folder in here has been created, and automatically a DBC file has been created for us as well. Okay, so I'm just going to open that. You'll see I'm pointing to that PartQuest DBC file currently, and now I should see a certain partition. And again, this is why it's important to have those partitions in PartQuest, because that's where it's going to place those in this Databook search. Okay, so now we can actually see that there's going to be a lot more information on the schematic once I place that component. Okay, so there, now I place this component and we see all of these properties directly from DigiKey or PartQuest on the component there. Okay, you'll see there's a couple of different hyperlinks, and this is an interesting part because if I go right click on that part and go to open a hyperlink, you'll see we have photos, we have data sheets, supplier links, and this is an interesting one because it even has a video link that if I go to it, that'll automatically start playing the .mega video for us. Okay, so that's just kind of interesting that it can have that capability. All right, so that's one way to import parts. I'm going to go through one other quick example. I see a question, do I have to use a blank database for my existing database? That's a great question, Evan. No, you do not. You can use this with your existing production library. Okay, So that's why it's nice within the data book tool, you'll see it created an underscore PQ. If I have this import directly into a different Microsoft Access database, it will still create its own underscore PQ dropdown, so you know which parts have been downloaded from PartQuest and which parts were already existing in your library. All right, so now if I want to go back to PartQuest, I want to look at a project, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and just search for a generic resistor. Okay, so I'm not too concerned with the resistor. I just want a resistor part in my library. So now I'm going to put it in my project. And to do that, I'm going to click on this little folder icon right where my mouse is right there. So add to a project, and this will allow me to point to a project that I already have created called test. Okay, so if I click on test, it's going to put it in there. And you can see that it's a little red icon, just like that. If I want to look at all my parts in my current project, I'm going to just use the My Project section and hit the project that I want to look at, which is test. And we can see all of these different components that I currently have in this project. Okay, so again, this is a great way to download all your project components at one time. Okay, so to do that, I'm just going to hit select all and then hit download. Okay. I see a really good question from Randy, and he's asking, we are using PADS Logic, not DX Designer, and can we download just footprints and skip the schematic symbols since we don't use DX? Yes, Randy, that's a great question. One thing you want to do is if I go to my profile again, which I'm opening up in a new tab here, I would go to that default flow and I would use PADS Netlist without DX Databook as your default flow. Okay, so this is still going to give you a symbol and a footprint file, but you can just disregard the symbol file. It will give you a .d file or a .decal file for use in PADS layout, which you can just import that way. Okay, great question. Pretty easy to do it that way. All right, so again, I've downloaded all of my project components here, and it gave me another PartQuest zip file, just a single one, even though it has, I think, 5 different components within here. Again, I'm going to go through that process. I'm going to right-click, Show in Folder. I'm going to right-click and hit Cut. Okay, so again, after I downloaded it, I want to put it in Mentor Graphics, PartQuest Tools, Downloads folder, and then I'm just going to paste. Okay, once I've done that, next step, really easy, just double-click on that PartQuest zip file. Again, if I go in the Expedition folder, now we'll see there's a lot of info in here. So even though it's just one PartQuest zip file, it can contain many parts. Okay. All right, so that's all I had to do. Now if I hop back into DX Designer, I'm going to go Tools, Import PartQuest Parts. And this output window is really helpful because it shows its current status. Started the Visual Basic script to import these parts, and hopefully we will see finished here in 2 seconds or so. All right, so that's finished and no errors. So I'm assuming everything worked correctly for us. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, again, I'm going to go Tools, Update Libraries. Anytime a change has been made to the central library, we just want to update those libraries so DX has the most current up-to-date library data. Okay, so again, going back to that data book. Now when I do that pull-down tab, we see that we have a diode and resistor PartQuest. Okay, so I know I imported a few other ICs here, and I'm just going to go ahead and drag and drop these onto the schematic. And I'm going to keep data book pinned for us so it doesn't keep running away. Okay, I'm just going to place a few of these And the last thing I'll do is just forward them onto the layout to show that they are actual parts, all right? All right, just really simple, generic library or schematic wiring techniques. I can do abutment. If I drag this pin onto each other and then off, you can see that purple asterisk shows that the connection's being made. It's going to create that connection for us. Or if I wanted to, I can right-click on these components or right on the pin, and then it's automatically going to start drawing the net for us. Okay, so now we're ready to forward onto the layout. I'm going to go Tools, Package first. I always recommend packaging because this will check for netlist errors. Okay, it looks like we passed packaging. Now I'm going to go Tools, Expedition Layout. And since this is the first time I'm creating that PCB file, it just will allow me to select a template, and I'm going to hit a 4-layer template and just create the PCB file. I see another question from Evan that says, we use a standard set of libraries. Can I have the library part added to our resistor library, or must it be added to resistor_PQ? You can have it set to just resistor, Evan, and that you're going to have to edit the PartQuest.ini file, which if you want to change those types of things, those are in your wdir folder, PartQuest, and this is the PartQuest ini file. Okay, this is getting a little bit more nitty-gritty down in the details of how it works. But what the ini file is it basically shows where it's going to be downloaded, and then I can change the library names within here as well. Okay, if you want more information, contact me on that, and I can help you out a little bit further on that one. Okay, so this is the PCB. I'm going to forward annotate my changes in here. Going to go, so what the forward annotation process is, again, is it packages our schematic, and then it will create the netlist and forward it onto the layout tool, and then allow us to place all these components, which we should be able to do here shortly. All right, I'm just going to do forward annotation. And once this is done, we should be able to see all these components in the layout and see the footprints that we have available. Okay, I see another question from Conan, and he's asking about if we're able to place alternate cells. Okay, so even though we're downloading all of that data, can we have alternate cells? And yes, that's a great question, because we may not like the footprint that it gives us. And yes, you can definitely do alternate cells just like you do in any other Expedition library format. Okay, so that will allow us to create an alternate cell for those parts. Okay, so here's those different footprints. These are all directly downloaded off of that DigiKey website. Okay, so you may want to alter some things like the assembly top layer here. This is a lot of information going on, so I can maybe adjust that. That's the part number. But you can really take a look at these footprints, and they're pretty high quality IPC 7351 compliant footprints that are downloaded off of DigiKey. Okay. All driven from the schematic, forward annotated into the layout. Okay. I guess the last thing I'll show here is if I just go set up libraries, Expedition Library Manager, just to talk a little bit more about Conan's question there. If I look in the library tools, we'll see that I have diode, IC, and resistor. and look at these associated cells and symbols. Okay, so if I single click on those, we should see a preview. Okay, and that will allow us to see those different cells that we have available. Okay, so Conan, if you're unfamiliar with how to do alternate cells, you would have to go into the edit part and then go into pin mapping and associate a new cell within here so you can have alternate cells. Okay, I'm not going to go through that process right now, but let me know if you have any questions on that. All right, so that is all I was going to cover today. Again, here's the steps. I will include written instructions with the email that I'll send out here tomorrow, probably with the link to the recording, so you can follow along with your setup as well as follow along with those instructions. Okay, again, here's my contact information if you have any questions or other concerns about capabilities or setup within here. But I really appreciate attending today. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me, and I'll follow up with the few that asked questions and I was not able to get to today. Okay, well, I hope that was helpful. Again, thanks for attending, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.